Okay, so I'm going to turn our attention next to Classlink. And Gail Dinkelkamp, you're here with us as Senior Director of Inside Sales. You're going to be talking to us about how to avoid the digital access issues that derail remote learning. Obviously a big thing. And Gail, I'm going to find you now and make sure that you can share screen.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1, and you should be able to have it. Okay, you're presenter now.
Okay.
Yeah, you're presenter. And it's good to have you because, you know, we watched in the survey so many new districts joining that don't have any single sign-on. They're using, you know, they threw a lot of devices out. That was their first step. And then they started using Google Docs or Microsoft and Teams or Zoom, and that's about it. So there's a huge number of districts out there that don't know about you. So,
Good.
yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm happy to share. Are you seeing my, it's a black,
Yep.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
we see that now. And you can share webcam too if you want to.
Oh, yeah, let me do that. Share my webcam. Okay, good?
Yeah, I don't see it. Okay, you're there.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect.
we're there.
All right, thanks so much. So
Okay.
thank you for having me. I'm really glad to be here. And I want to really show you how Classlink can help with remote learning. You know, districts have been using this for a long time, but when remote came along, it really it was a game changer for everyone, of course. Classlink's been around for about 20 years, and there are a lot of pieces to Classlink. So I'm going to talk briefly about all of the pieces, just kind of give you an overview. But what I want to focus in on today is the single sign-on for students and teachers and the teacher console, which is great for keeping up with kids that are working from home. And then the analytics, you can see what's happening. So we can single sign on into anything. We have over 6,000 connections already built. So probably whatever a district is using, we've got it built, but we don't charge extra if we don't. We'll make that connection. We can single sign on into your apps and files as well. So if you are using network drives, shared drives, maybe some districts are still using like they have an H drive, or also you can use your storage areas all in one place. So Dropbox, Google, your shared drive, you can get it all from home without a VPN. Then we give you great usage analytics, which I'm going to show you quite a bit of that. And then on the back end, we also offer rostering. So we can roster your applications to whoever needs them. And that's such a great, it's so hard on technology departments that don't have a way to roster and they're doing it by hand. And at the beginning of the year, sometimes it's 6 weeks before kids are rostered into their resources. So that can be done on the first day of school. And then we also do account provisioning. So we can set up your AD, Google, and Azure accounts, as well as Teams and Google Classroom. So those can be done too, all automated, and all of these systems talk to each other. And then we have a parent portal. So as you know, parents have a lot to sign into now as well. So we can make that easier for your parents. We have a mobile app. You can see it on your phone. And then we have a public portal to just show the public everything that is going on in your district. So let me jump in because I want to show you what it looks like. So there are lots of ways to sign in, and your district will decide that. So you can sign in with AD, you can sign in with Google, with SAML, you can sign in with Quick Cards. For the little ones, we have the badges, which is great. I taught for 15 years, and I used Classlink. The last few years that I taught, I had third graders, and they know their username and password, but they do not have command of the keyboard. So even though they could, they knew their letters, it just took forever to sign in. So I actually used the Quick Cards first semester, and it was a blessing. And then we weaned off of them. So I logged in with Google, and let me go in and show you a teacher screen or a student screen. So what you're looking at are just all my single sign-on connections. So what you need to know here is that this screen would look different based on who you are. So a second grader might only have 4 resources on the screen. A high school senior is going to have another set. A teacher is going to have another set. So these are dispersed out based on who you are and what you need. So you'll be able to control what's on the screen. If there's a little key at the top, it means it's locked. So that means the district pushed it down. You can't delete it accidentally. So anything that I click on, it's just, I go right in. There's no username, there's no password, it's just a direct link. Of course, my internet at home is a little slow today. So let me try a different one. In you go usually. So I'm right into Canvas. So you can have your LMS on here as well. So everything here in one place, so you're gathering analytics on everything that's being clicked on. Library resources, all in a folder here. You know, these are usually on your web page. They frequently are not used because kids don't know the username and password when they get home. So these can be here and the password pushed through as well. HR links for teachers to look at their pay stub, to check their health insurance. So it can be all kinds of things, all your digital resources that you use in one spot. When I taught, I had a folder labeled 3rd grade, and it was my curriculum. So my scope and sequence, my vertical alignment, my standards, all my resources were in that folder. So when I did my lesson plans, I didn't have to go searching for anything. It was all there. This is a form, a bully report form. It could be a web link. So this part, I think, is, you know, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just push out the resources to whoever needs them. Then when the pandemic hit, we added this teacher console. So in here, what you can do is, this will tie into your student information system. So we can pull the teacher's class schedule. So if I click on my math class, I can put out a message to the students that are in my math class. We can be part of a discussion board. I also can look and see who's logged in every day. I can go back and look at different weeks. We can export that. So this is a great way for me to see who's logged in, how long have they been logged in. I'll show you that piece in a second. And if I have a child that's not logging in, I know I need to call and find out what's going on. Then in the activity tab, this is where you'll see how long the students were logged in and what they were doing. So this child was in Canvas, Nearpod, Reflex Math, and Renaissance Learning. And I know how long they were in each of them. So this is a great way when you've got kids at home for teachers to really know what those students are doing. Are they getting what they need? Do they have the resources? Are they in there working? Then I can also add something to their page. So if I want to go grab something, we have a nice resource library, which is right here. So let's say I teach high school algebra, and I have kids that somebody tells me they've lost their graphing calculator. They left it at grandma's house, or it doesn't work anymore. I can add that to their page and tell them, no worries, honey, I put that on your page, you're good to go. So I can do that through the teacher console, or I can do it from here and let students grab it if it's open to students and put it on their page as well. So that's a really nice piece. As a teacher, I love that. You could add a video. Let's say it's Black History Month and you're going to study Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech. Go grab the link to that speech, put it on the kids' pages, put a note with it that they need to listen, take notes, and be prepared to discuss on Thursday. When you're finished with that, you can take it off. So it's a great way for teachers to add resources to the students' pages without them having to go out and search for them. All right, let me move over to analytics, and then I'll stop early enough to answer some questions. So I'm going to go in as an administrator, and I'm going to show you the analytics. Another thing while I'm here, let me point out, we do webinars weekly, instructional webinars, and then we archive them here on the admin page that you can push those out to teachers and students. So all kinds of learning takes place here that they can watch on demand. All right, analytics. When you first log in, I'm going to get a drink of water. You're going to see a dashboard. So this dashboard can be customized to whatever you want to see on it. But what it's going to do is tell your tech department at any given time who has logged in, the percentage of users logged in. If you've been with us for several years, we give you a 3-year history, how many logins today, this year, and the top apps. So that's just a summary of all these things on the left-hand side. So if I go into logins, I can also see logins outside of school hours. Because, you know, when kids are working from home, especially teenagers, they're doing a lot of work in the evening. I can see all of that. I can also see all the browser types that are being used, all the operating systems that are being used. And then when I go down, I can also look at all my schools. So I can see my schools by a heat map, so that if you have a large district, a lot of schools to keep up with, you can look at this heat map and see the percentage of kids that are logged in every day. And you're going to know the schools that have low usage because they're going to stand out to you. Then when you go into the apps usage heat map, you're actually going to get time, and you can drill down into these numbers and see what is that comprised of. You also can just have your schools will come up in a list, and you actually can compare them, put them side by side, hit the compare button, and it's going to show you all the logins per school, the unique logins. So 2015 students at this high school and 160 teachers are logged in. And as I scroll down, this is what they're using, and we can compare school to school. So sometimes curriculum directors like this piece for when test results come back. You have one school overperforming, and you know they're teaching the same curriculum, the teachers have equal experience. You can go in and see if there's something one school is using that another is not. All right, let me jump down into the apps piece because there's a lot to talk about here. All right, what this is going to tell me is everything that the district is using, and it is coming up from greatest to least. So if you have an LMS, of course, that's going to be at the top, and then everything else you're using is coming underneath. If you reverse that arrow, you're going to get everything that is not being used. So if you have spent money, good money on software that students and teachers are not using, you're going to know that. So this is where we have districts tell us all the time that Classlink paid for itself in that they cleaned up all these subscriptions that they really didn't need to have anymore because no one was using them. When you ask teachers if they use all this, they say yes. I always said, whatever they asked me, do you use that? Yes, because I didn't want it to be taken away just in case I needed it. You know, teachers are hoarders. All right. So let's go back to where we're seeing them at the top, and let me just go into one of these. So let me go into Reflex Math, see if there's data in here. All right, so what this is going to tell me is how many users we've had this year, the cost, how many days are left on my subscription. I'm going to see the usage each day. If I hover over, it gives me that data and the time spent. So I also can see my top users. But we can go in a little further here. Up here at the top, I can get a usage heat map on just Reflex Math. I also can put in goals. So if, as you know, Reflex Math is a product, or you may not know, you have to use it daily. So it's for automaticity of math facts. And students get on it until they see the green light. And they have to do it every day to learn those math facts. So that can take anywhere from 10 to 14 minutes, depending upon the student. So if I put a 10-minute goal in here and saved it, this is going to tell me whether we're meeting that goal as a district. And if we're not, then I can, excuse me, send out an email reminding teachers that during math stations, those students need to get on Reflex Math until they get the green light. I also can go in and put in costs. So I can put in how many licenses we have, how much money did we spend, was there a PD cost, did I pay a trainer, what was my funding source, and then when does the subscription end. And that information is important because then we are going to track your return on investment. So if I go now into the cost button, it's telling me all the software that the district owns, our most and least utilized app, how much money have we spent, what is the average cost per user. And then as I scroll down, it's telling me how many licenses I've purchased, but how many unique users I have. So this is another place where you can tighten your budget. If you're purchasing too many licenses, this will tell you. If you're purchasing not enough licenses, it will tell you that too. Where we see a lot of discrepancy here in the number of licenses and users is oftentimes in those library databases. And sometimes it's just because they're not accessible enough to the kids. But this is a great way to look at that. And then at any time from here, you can jump right into the software and get all that detail as well. In the settings, we can set up some global email reports. So if you wanted a principal, your building principals to get an email every week about the usage in their building, that can be set up. It can go to the superintendent, anybody that you want. So you can pick the report that you would like and whom you would like it to go to and set that up automatically. So that's a nice piece as well. So let me just briefly now talk about the rostering and the OneSync, and then I'm going to stop about 5 minutes early so I can take any questions that you might have. So on the rostering piece, I'm not going to go into the software because we don't have time, but we use the One Roster standard. So this is an open free standard that actually came about in 2015 when just about everyone went digital on their textbooks. So the big publishers, McGraw-Hill, HMH, Pearson, went to IMS Global and said, oh my gosh, this is what rostering looks like in districts. Somebody is this person sending out all these files and it's taking forever. We need an easy way to do it. So they came up with that One Roster standard, which goes through our roster server and sends out the data cleanly to all of your applications. Then when you roll your rosters over in the summer, your 9th graders become 10th graders, your 2nd graders become 3rd graders. They are automatically rostered into their new applications that they need for that grade level. So when changes are made in the SIS, we pick that up and it's all moves over smoothly. And then the last piece that we have is called OneSync. So this is a server that would be on-prem because it holds your AD. We pull from your SIS. We can pull from an HR database if you have that separate. We can pull from a Google Sheet, an ODBC. You have lots of examples here. If CSV files can come out, we can take it. And what we do is we create your AD, Azure, and Google accounts, whichever you need. And we can also do Google Classroom and Teams. So those accounts are set up immediately when a child is entered into the SIS. So if you think about the whole picture, what happens is a child comes to your district, the data clerk puts them in the SIS, new student. OneSync immediately picks up that a new student has been entered, knows that they need a Google and an AD account, and sets them up. As soon as those accounts are set up, that triggers roster server to look at who the student is, what class they're in, and get their digital resources set up on their launch page. So at the next sync, that child is digital right away. So some districts sync more frequently at the beginning of the year. So at the beginning of the year, if you have a lot of students coming in and out, like I'm actually in Texas. So we have, at the district where I taught, we had a high Hispanic population, and a lot of them went to Mexico in the summer to visit their grandparents, and they didn't always come back on the first day of school. So those first 2 weeks of school, we had a lot of kids coming in. So my district would do a sync every hour so that we could keep up with all these kids coming in. And then once everything settles down, it was just a nightly sync. But it was so nice to have a student come in, enter my classroom, and I knew that that same day they were going to have a login to everything that they needed already set up. So all of this is priced together. It's not a la carte. You get everything. And it's reasonable. So our prices are average about $3 a user. So not an expensive solution, but it's so robust, does so many things for you. And it's so nice to be able to actually know what every student is doing, what they're on, what time they're on. Teachers have this great control as well to know what's happening in their classroom. Ooh, I feel like this is normally an hour demo, so I feel like I just whizzed through it. Are there any questions?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Hey, this is Leilani. I'll check for questions, but you know, I have one which is really, what happened with you guys as the lockdown started happening? I heard it was like a madhouse over there at Classlink, because all of a sudden a lot of people were jumping in.
I've never seen anything like it. We were just inundated with districts that were desperate. You know, a lot of districts just didn't know what to do. They were really caught off guard. They weren't prepared. I mean, but of course no one was prepared. So yeah, we worked constantly is what we did, but we managed. We got everybody up and running.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Anthony,
Yep.
I think you have a question. I think you're unmuted. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is more of a testimonial. So just as a parent, my daughter's school and district uses Classlink, so I just wanted to say thank you. It has been a lifesaver. It is so wonderfully easy to use. And we work with a lot of single sign-ons, our company, but from a dad to other parents out there, I just wanted to personally say thank you, because my kid uses it every day, and it's been so easy for all of us here to navigate. So just say thanks again.
Yes, thank you for saying that. You're right. As a parent, it's hard when you're trying to work and you've got several kids in school. It's hard. So I'm glad we could help.
Well, excellent. Well, what do you see happening down the road? I mean, going into 2021, you probably have a line of districts out the door who are looking at their funding buckets and saying to themselves, okay, we're getting ourselves ready to bring in Classlink, because so many new ones joined the fray. What's happening that you see down the road?
You know, it's been, we're not sure. Like, we don't know what it's going to look like because of budgets. You know, we have some concerns too about that. You know, our district's going to be able to afford something like us, or some way to get all their resources together, and, you know, how is the money going to look? Because so many districts have had to spend so much money on just getting their buildings ready, and hand sanitizer and dividers and all the things they've had to do. So we too are wondering what next year is going to look like. It's still been very busy for us. We don't know if that will drop off or not. Yeah, I don't know. We'd love to know, as would everyone else.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest drivers, and I talked about this earlier, was there's a tremendous loss to homeschooling or any alternatives for a lot of districts, even the remote rural ones.
Mm-hmm.
So their attention on what they have to do digitally to level that up, I think, is going to put more pressure on altering their normal budget methodology.
Yeah, I agree.
Things are going to get cut that weren't normally cut, and you know, there could be another stimulus. So we'll see.
Yeah, well, you never know. I do, you know, I do believe Classlink is a help in managing your technology funds, though, because you just have such an easy way to confirm that digital resources are being used and are important in your district. You know, and being able to cut out the ones that aren't saves a lot of money. I'm so surprised when we get new districts on that have so many resources that are underutilized.
Yeah, that's a big deal. No one as a superintendent likes to wake up and go, what do you mean? No, we bought this and we spent $30,000 on it and no one used it.
Exactly.
What? Yeah. That's not a pleasant going to the superintendent's office conversation.
No, it is.
No, not at all. Well, listen, it's been really great to have you, Gail, and good to have the support of Classlink, and nice to know that you guys are getting out there and pushing and trying to save people money while also bringing them an operational efficiency that's pretty majestic. I'm proud of you guys.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for letting me have this 30 minutes. I appreciate it. Everybody have a great holiday.
Thank you.
All righty.